Sure. Okay. Your event is starting.
Would have thought it'd be easier. That's what's out.
And we are live. Before we start, I just want to address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that we are two rectangles on a black background. That is because I had literally 10 minutes to set this up, and I couldn't find the assets for the Snappy-Tech podcast. I think well, I know for a fact they're all in the other PC, but I've just travelled like 6,000 kilometers in a day or some ridiculous number like that, and I'm sorry, you'll have to live with it for this one episode. We'll be fine. Nothing's gonna break. If you're listening to this,
it's going to burn.
If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, congrats to you, because you can't tell the difference probably. Apart from the fact I also don't have a pop filter on this microphone right now, so if I make any P's or T's, you'll be...
You've been doing loads already.
Right, you'll be aware of that. Or B's, those do that too. So just so you know, no pop filter. Again, I've just been ridiculously busy. I literally got home like less than an hour ago, had dinner, I'm currently still technically eating dinner as we record this, but you know what? It'll be fine. We'll live. What could possibly go wrong, apart from literally everything? So, Paul, do you want to introduce yourself real quick, just in case, the stream doesn't know who you are?
So, because I haven't been on the Snappy-Tech podcast for a while, so there's a chance they may have all forgotten me. So, if you have, then I am Paul. At Paul Stubbers on Twitter, or at Just a Wild Stubbers on Twitch, and yes, hopefully I'll be regular here again.
Whoop whoop! It has been a crazy month or so for the Snappy-Tech podcast, because there's just been so much going on, but we just haven't had time to get you on. Like, we've had so many different guests over the last few weeks. It's been cool. Don't get me wrong, but I've missed your wonderful voice. And by wonderful, I mean extremely annoying, obviously.
And Mr. Panda as well.
Nope, not even remotely.
Everyone is missing that Panda. And I am so glad that I have that desk there to let the Panda sit on.
There is a 0% amount of missing of that Panda. So, if I get into the show notes real quick, because although I wrote them, God only knows I've already forgotten them. Because I wrote them whilst on a plane, or whilst about to get on a plane. Also, as you can probably tell, I don't have my lighting set up right now. Nothing is set up. This is all... I'm surprised we're even live right now, to be completely honest with all of you.
It was touch and go for a minute.
It genuinely was. Do you want to start with the S9, because the embargo did lift?
Yes. Let's get the...
So, Samsung were complete idiots yesterday, and accidentally published a video showing off the S9, only issue being it wasn't officially released until, well, an hour ago, or 2 hours ago at this point. The video showed off everything we were expecting to see about the S9, just, a day early. So the S9 has one rear camera, the S9 Plus has two. The fingerprint scanner has been moved from to the side of the cameras to underneath for better position, according to literally everyone. And yeah, it looks like an iteration, right? It's an update as opposed to an overhaul.
Yeah, it looks like an S8S kind of thing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that camera, I would very much be saying, what is the point of even releasing it? From the footage that I've seen of people going through the system on it, it still looks like the same touch-wise, and of course they said the buttons are in exactly the same place with still that Bixby button. Hopefully that is finally reprogrammable without an
there's a 0% chance of that one.
Yep.
Oh my god, bloody seen it, and they're auto-playing videos. Go away.
Literally, so I think the only physical difference is a slightly changed microphone grill and the camera and fingerprint sensor back. It's I mean, this is the S8 Plus. For people that don't know, this is a beautiful phone. It feels very nice in the hand, and by putting the fingerprint scanner below the camera, they have fixed one of my major issues with it. So, I mean, there's not much they could have changed, but it would have been nice to see more. If it wasn't such a revolutionary camera, I suppose, revolutionary camera. It's like basically pointless.
The big thing for me personally is that what they've done really well here is they haven't done innovation for innovation's sake. Like, they know that a lot of the things in the S8 just worked and most of it was fine, so they didn't change anything just for the sake of it. And I quite like the look of the S8 as it is currently, and so the S9 also looks okay to me.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't like when companies change, as you say, innovation for innovation's sake. If you've got a good phone, then why change what's good about it? However, at the same point, it doesn't seem like they've changed enough. Maybe once we get this year's Note device, then that's when the big new things for this year will come. As quite often, it will have something ahead of the sort of the S lineup. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
It is very much thought that the Note 9 will be the one with the big changes, right? The under screen fingerprint sensor is very much thought to be coming with the Note 9 potentially. It's not 100%, but that's, if we see it this year, it will be in the Note 9.
You say if we don't see it in the, I think we're going to see it in a smartphone from a.
Well, it's already in a smartphone.
I know, but from one of the big top 10 manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we don't see it in the Note, we're certainly not going to see it in the iPhone this year.
I reckon it will never come in the iPhone. I reckon.
Yeah,
Apple
I think with Face ID they wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot like that.
I reckon Apple have already gotten to the point where they're like, okay, cool, we're done now. We don't.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes in a sort of don't know about Honor or Huawei. Probably wouldn't come with them. Probably not LG. Maybe like one of the big Chinese manufacturers or something like Xiaomi. I could see them actually being the first people to bring out a flagship device with it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. What I do like about the S9 though is not only the camera but the fact it still has a headphone jack.
Yes,
that's a big plus in my book.
Yeah, and I mean, they could have used the excuse, we got rid of the headphone jack to add some extra battery, but the battery in the S8 and S8 Plus were great, so they've kept the same size, and I'm fine with that. 3,000, 3,500 is fine.
You know what? Luke in the chat just mentioned this, and he's completely right, and I'd forgotten about it. And on the drive home from the airport, my dad had mentioned the S9 because he asked what I was talking about in the podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be talking about the S9, and he was like, oh, that's basically the same as the S8, and it took all of my might to say, the iPhone 8 is basically the same as the iPhone 6, right? However, outside of that, I was thinking like that mechanical dual aperture, as Luke mentions, does sound epic, and I am highly excited for that.
As I say, the camera is the reason that they've even changed anything from the S8, or the reason that there is an S9 almost. They've added the extra RAM, but that dual aperture does sound amazing. I saw Marcus Brownlee's video, and the shots with the camera look very, very, very good.
Do they? I haven't had a chance to watch any official content on it. From what I
saw through a YouTube video.
Yeah. That's a given.
I really want to see the rating it gets.
Interesting. Let me see if I can find some pictures real quick.
Because of course we all know the Note 8 camera was amazing. So I think with this upgrade,
because the cameras,
it's not going to be
the cameras were the huge pushing point from Samsung, right? The cameras
Yeah.
with security via Knox and something else. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it shifts between f1.5 and f2.4. What else? It is apparently amazing, and the fact it's dual aperture makes it crazy town. Especially in the dark, I would assume. I can only imagine the kind of low light pictures that thing takes. But yeah, we'll have to see. That is probably going to be the next phone I buy. My contract runs out at the end of next month. This phone is on its last legs, as you can tell by the massive red line that runs across the poor screen.
Last shattered legs,
the poor thing. So I'm gonna probably leave it like a month, maybe 2, and then buy the S9. Or I might get it on pre-order depending on how much it is. But yeah, I know that I'm due. Oh, actually, let's find out. How much is it? Pre-order your S9 today. Oh, I forget they do that thing where if you pre-order it, you get it a week early. So I'm on. Let me make a scene real quick for desktop capture. Oh, this is so smooth. Can you tell we were ready for this? Here we are. So this is 0% preparation. So the S9 Plus in. Oh, what color would you go for, Paul? I have to ask. Would you go for purple, black, or blue?
I'd go for the blue. I do. The one I have now is actually like a grey blue, a very fingerprinted up one.
Yeah, I'd have to go for blue. It's just this one's a little rushed, and my webcam is really glitching out. Like the LED, it has like an indication light for when it's in use. That thing is flickering like there's no tomorrow. I'm kind of worried it's going to explode. Oh man.
Yeah. No, this setup tonight is slightly rushed. From my
Slightly
side,
is a bit of an understatement.
Apart from the fact I didn't bother charging the batteries in my light, so there is a chance that is going to die before the end of the podcast. My side's fine. However, I don't know why you didn't just switch your computers. All of the assets are on there. And it's actually fast enough to not make your computer lag whilst having Photoshop and Discord running at once.
Yeah, that was really bizarre. I'm not sure what happened there, to be completely honest with you. The moment I opened Photoshop, it just started lagging like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's...
So let me take a look here. So, on O2, 250 quid up front and then £50 a month for 20 gigabytes of data.
Wait, I'm just doing something. I just realised. Okay.
But yeah, it's we'll see. Let me see. I saw some comments and then dashed back across. Inspiring Psych says, "I'm not sure I like the logo on it. On the back, I haven't actually paid attention to that, to be completely honest. Let me take a look. Oh, because it's under the thing. It's like basically center now. Yeah, that's a bit odd. It probably looks better on the S9 than it does on the 9 Plus because it's lower down. How much is it? It's $869 for the Plus, and oof. I mean, it's cheaper than an iPhone.
Luke, I know you got your... Didn't you get your S8 within a couple of weeks of it launching? How does the contract compare to yours, or what you was being offered around there?
This is
was it 700 or 699 the S8 started at?
The S8, I can't remember, but the S9 is at 739. That sounds about right for the S8 as well. It's currently 689, but I assume that's been marked down a touch due to the...
Yeah, I'm still glad of what price I got my phone at. I can't believe...
Yeah, you got yours for like a steal.
The contract... Not only did me the deal that they can get with Samsung, then they decided to knock an extra £7 off basically the minimum they could do. So hey, 45 a month.
You practically stole that phone.
Yeah. Luke is paying 45 a month. This is for the S8, not the Plus.
Right.
So he's Gets an extra 12 gig of data. I could have had 5 gig, but then I wouldn't have got the BT Sport and the faster speeds. But he pays 45 a month for 50 up front. So got a really good deal. Yeah, I mean, I did get mine in September rather than April, right? Because the S8 was late, wasn't it?
It wasn't that late.
Was it March or late March, early April? I think.
It would have been March. Oh no, the S8 released April 21st. Bloody hell! That was really late.
Yeah, no, because they had there was something that they had a problem with. They were waiting to be the first people. Was it the Snapdragon 835? They wanted to be the first people.
Oh,
with that
you're
chip.
right. Yeah, because they were delayed. Yeah, it had to be pushed back.
Sure,
you're completely right.
That was before, actually. I'm sure that's who I found it out. But yeah, no, because it got released really late, so they could be the first people to have an 835.
Yes.
So I was 5 months late, which actually for these days with tech, that's basically obsolete.
Yeah, it's practically on the subject of practically obsolete. Can we just take a second to talk about, because we were talking about how the S9 is basically the S8 Plus, right?
Yeah, and
however, if we want to talk,
I originally said that.
However, if we want to talk about basically the S, like LG, what were you thinking? Come on, LG announced the LG V30S Think spelt THINQ, because obviously it is literally exactly the same as the LG V30, apart from the fact that they upped the RAM from 4GB to 6GB, and the cameras now have some AI behind them. It is otherwise literally exactly the same. Yeah,
it honestly feels like a phone that should have been released at the same time as a Plus variant. When all your upgrading is basically the RAM and then a little bit of AI stuff, which you can get in an update for the V30 anyway.
Yeah, it will be available in a software update anyway.
So when the main upgrade is basically the RAM, that is just a Plus variant. That isn't even an S variant.
Well, the thing is, there is already I think part of the issue is there's already an LG V30 Plus, which is the LG V30 with 6GB RAM.
So they should do a Huawei and just make their names just way too confusing.
Let me just double check this, because I think that's right. So the LG V30 Plus is powered by a Snapdragon 835. Comes with 4GB of RAM. Oh no, that's what it was. They just stuck more storage in it, so it had 128GB of storage instead of 64.
Yeah,
and they called it the Plus, and it had dual SIM. The V30, when that phone was first announced, I was so hyped for it, and then it came out so late, and the screen was, well, it was about as good as the Pixel 2s, if we're completely honest, but it was an interesting one. In the Verge article that's in the show notes, it does say about it does make you wonder if they just simply didn't have a good enough upgrade ready for MWC, was it? Yeah, Mobile World Congress even.
So, and to be honest, it sounds a perfectly viable option. It sounds like they've literally shoved out an upgrade to say that they've got a new phone out whilst they're working on something new.
Well, I can tell you precisely why this has happened, and that's because LG claimed earlier this year or last year, somewhere around there, at some point they said that they weren't going to release a V40 or a G7, G8, whatever the next number is, at MWC. They said that they were going to stop from the yearly release cycle, and instead of releasing a phone a year, they were going to release the phones when they feel like they're done, like when they're ready to ship. The issue is, you have a massive event like Mobile World Congress, where you really don't want to turn up empty-handed, and this is what you end up with.
Yeah, that's like... It's commendable for a company only putting out upgrades when they are ready. However, that kind of promotes one, a bit of slowness, because it's like, oh, we don't have a deadline to make, we've got all the time in the world. But it also does promote things like this of making an upgrade for no reason. I mean, if you were going to buy an LG already, then great for you. You now have a slight upgrade that you can get, presuming the price isn't too much more. But chances, if it is if it's much more, the extra 2 gig of RAM doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
AI,
was just bizarre more than anything else. It was just I was so confused.
LG Mobile annoy me. They make some very good phones, but some of the things they do, but their screen side of it is the side that I love.
Yeah, their TVs are good. Their phones displays not so much. We had a discussion about this actually. I remember talking about it. It was myself, you, Emily, and Greg. The 4 of us were talking about the LG screens and how shrinking them were an issue. We have an LG TV. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. I love that thing to pieces. Because my up is at 0 right now, apparently. And we're back. Apparently me trying to switch webcam sources killed something. I have no idea what's going on right now. This webcam is not happy. Right, my upstream is back. My internet just the up cut off for a second. Because I could still hear you and all. That was really bizarre. However, we're back now. I was just saying that LG's TVs are great. Like, we have an LG TV downstairs. It is gorgeous. It's a 4K HDR screen. Beautiful TV. Their phone screens, not so much.
The G2 that I had, the screen was very good, but there was a weird yellow burning huey effect to it. Which was specifically, was a lot more noticeable on white screens, but was noticeable on most screens. And it did get a bit annoying at times. But as a screen, it looked very good. But yeah, no, they just can't quite seem to shrink down those screens. Samsung, weirdly enough, as Luke said, Samsung mobile displays are the best in his opinion. I can agree with that as well from all the ones that I've seen.
Yeah, on mobile, definitely. I think on TVs, though, I think it's very much LG.
Yeah, it's a switch round thing. It seems like Samsung can make it on a tiny scale, blow that up, and suddenly, no.
Yes, it's not that they're bad, it's just that they're not as good. I feel like, Samsung TVs are great as well. They're just not as good.
Yeah, I think LG screens aren't bad on the phones, but I mean, considering...
Oh, they are. No, they're bad. Did you see the V30 screens? They were terrible.
I haven't seen the V30 screens.
They are very bad.
Considering the promise they gave with the G2, with how good that looked, as I say, with the burning issue over time, it's a bit of annoying. But the promise with how good that looked... and it was, at the time, it's the highest PPI of any screen for that year. And it looked absolutely amazing. And then they've just slowly somehow got worse rather than better.
I think it was the jump from LCD to OLED that did it for them. Like, the fact that their LCD displays were decent at that size.
Yeah, the G2 had the LCD. But it's stupid that they jumped to OLED and that's where they go wrong. Whereas with the LG TVs, they go to OLED and they're amazing now. I mean, I haven't seen one apart from in the shop, so from what I hear. But yeah, LG. One of the things that does annoy me with LG as a company is some of the mistakes they just make. Things like with the Apple display that they did, with the blue tinting issues, some of the burning issues with their screens that they've done in the past year.
Yeah.
I mean, they are an amazing screen maker. And for like the monitor's case, that should be somewhere where they excel. Yet they make such rookie mistakes. Like some of these things were noticed within, like with the burning issue and all that, and the blue tinting. That was noticed within the first week of the phone being in the hands of users. So it should be something they should have noticed. They didn't, and they showed how quick it was to fix, because the second batch, it was all fine. But
I don't think they were. I don't think all the LG V30s are yet.
For the Pixel, I know that had the issues.
The Pixels, even those are very much hit and miss, I believe. I thought
the second batch was meant to fix.
I think they're better, but they're not. They're still not 100%. If I recall correctly, because I saw it on Twitter the other day. They're saying that the screens are getting better, but still not at 100. Luke says Samsung should acquire LG. It just doesn't make any sense from Samsung's point of view.
Yeah.
Samsung have nothing to get out of that.
It would be interesting to see LG and Samsung make a phone together, which would never happen, but it would be interesting. But I think from business sense, Samsung are doing amazingly well on the phones by themselves. They don't need the help there. And they're doing good enough on the screens. Or the prices that they sell their TVs for, yet they still sell so many. They're doing pretty well. But Luke said about he loved my my G2 in maths. That was I'm sure I've told you about in maths we tricked my my maths teacher, who was the deputy head of the school, quite a strict teacher. He knew his IT and stuff. We tricked him into thinking the projector was faulty, or that it's getting to the end of its lifespan, so it needs replacing.
How?
Because on the G2 it has the remote, so I used to turn off the.
Yes.
I used to freeze the projector, turn them off, zoom them in, and all that, and
horrible
still to this
man.
day, we don't know how we kept a straight face when we were speaking to him about saying projector's faulty. I really don't understand how we both kept a straight face.
You are a horrible, horrible person.
Samsung would dominate the TV market and take a bigger leap into the PC monitor market. I know they make monitors, but LG are bigger. Yes.
LG don't really make gaming monitors, do they?
I think
neither do Samsung, as far as I'm aware.
Yes, I think Samsung, as a business acquisition of LG, it would actually be better for them to keep LG and Samsung separate if they did ever buy them. Because LG have already got their reputation as an amazing screen maker, and all that they then do is share the technologies, share research departments, just put a different label and maybe a slightly different stand design or stuff like that on the Samsung.
Potentially.
That as a business thing could work. For suddenly Samsung screens would be a lot better because they'd just be LG screens repackaged. But frankly, for the money it would cost, I suppose LG is a company money to possibly make that deal work. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I honestly don't see it happening. Partially because LG is just too big. Right, but I don't think Samsung has the cash to buy LG.
See, an acquisition that would someone buying LG that would make sense is Apple.
You know what? They're basically doing it already. They are.
Because they already, of course, have all the LG screens for the iMacs and all that. So, for Apple as a because I was watching a interesting video earlier on. There's certain parts of it I was kind of like, yeah, no. However, they did make a good point that Apple don't really make big money acquisitions generally, but when they do, they don't do it for the brand name or whatever. They usually do it for the talent of the company and for their patents, so they can sort of improve their services generally. So I think if they did take on LG, then they'd get a lot of very good patents and very good screen makers that suddenly would actually help them with their own products, I think.
I just want to say, Luke said LG are a failing brand, and I adamantly disagree with you there. In fact, so do the graphs. I've pulled up a market summary of LG Electronics. Their market cap is currently at 17.5 trillion Korean, whatever the currency is in Korea. Korea's. Korean currency. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's won. Of course it is.
Oh yeah.
So 17.44 T1 to US. Let's go with USD. Screw it. USD. So they're currently at, I would assume, yeah, they're at 160 mil. No. Oh, my middle screen has just cut out. That's useful, and it's back again. This computer is definitely on its last legs. Paul, are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just be quiet.
Just worried for a second there. So their value is 1.6 billion-ish US dollars, using simple paper napkin math. But you can see they've actually been going up since July 2017. They dropped at the end of January, but they've been going back up lately. So as a brand, you have to remember LG make a lot of things that aren't phones and TVs. They make, all kitchen appliances. They make fridges, stuff like that.
That's the thing. Even if LG Mobile is...
Yeah, LG Mobile might die, but LG Electronics are huge.
Yeah. I mean, their screens, like for them monitors, yeah, but their TVs, that will always be, I think for a long time, be a big brand. But yeah, the fridges, washing machines, all that, and they've got a lot of things outside of that. I can't, because we've been to lots of events where we've seen LG there, and we've been like, I didn't even realize that they actually did this too.
Oh yeah, it's been like some of the stuff we've seen them doing has been crazy.
I mean, some of these, because these enterprise events, you don't find TV manufacturers there, or washing machine manufacturers. You're finding big enterprise tech, and you're realizing, wait, these do this too. And it is crazy. Some of the companies we find at these events.
So, for example, just as a quick example, their home appliance and air solution, which is basically like air conditioning, they've made a 6.8% increase year on year between 2016 and 2017, selling over 4 million units. What else do we have? Vehicle components, because they make those as well, apparently.
Yeah.
Home entertainment, so TVs, speakers, things like that. Their income is currently at 366 billion Korean won in Q4 of 2017. So, their net income is about half of that, 182. But when you look at sort of the bits that are making money, like the mobile is actually one of the smallest parts of LG, purely because of how much money they lose on it. Like they're basically sinking money in the mobile part because they're making money on their TVs, their washing machines, their fridges, their air air purifiers.
Yeah. See, to be honest, that's probably why they've said we'll release a phone when it's ready, because they are sinking enough money into that side of the company, and not getting enough back out of it. So from their side of things, it takes a little bit of financial pressure off, and they only release phones that are at that point perfect in theory. I think Samsung are doing whatever they can to take over LG's current market. Samsung will. I think Samsung and LG are the two top brands.
And
for,
LG are definitely number one,
TVs.
purely if you look at their their ultra high end. So Samsung may dominate the high end, but I think LG will dominate the ultra high end. If you look at their wallpaper TV, for example, that thing is next level. Samsung have nothing close to that.
Revolutionary tech. I mean, with some of their new types of displays, and of course the wallpaper display, that they're not just taking the same concept and just making it a little bit better if they can. They are making new things that they can do, and just astonishing us all as they go along. And Samsung, I think, dominate the high. The high end is, as you say, LG. Samsung dominate the high. I think the mid to low end is still LG though, because they do some amazing displays for very good prices. And unless I went to a brand that I don't particularly trust or haven't even heard of, there's not many brands that can really better LG at any price point below the grand or two.
So
I think,
just really quickly, I just want to say LG Electronics, which is what we were just looking at, right? The whatever it was, 160 billion market cap. LG Electronics is just one subsidiary. LG, what are they called? LG Corporation have 6 subsidiaries. LG Electronics, LG Display, LG U+, I don't know what that is. LG Chem, which is chemical. It's actually, LG Chem is the largest Korean chemical company. LG Life Sciences and LG Solar Energy. So they have, like, U+ is apparently a cellular carrier. So they're a carrier. It used to be called LG Telecom, again in Korea. So their revenue as a whole back in 2012, I don't think we can get any more up-to-date figures of that. I'll see if I can find any. Was $143 billion.
I'm trying in 2017. LG. Oh, that's the LG Electronics.
Yeah, the LG Electronics is the only one I can find. I think since 2012 they've all been spun out into separate things. The electronics has definitely been branded out, but LG makes so many things. I think Samsung are doing whatever they can to take over LG's current market. They are, but they're also doing whatever they can to take over Apple's current market. Doesn't mean they'll win it, unfortunately.
And so remember Sony TVs? They were always quite good.
Sony
they
TVs
were
are alright.
Expensive.
Yeah, they're still okay.
They used to be so expensive. But I mean, the fact that LG Electronics, which is probably not their biggest money maker, the others probably make similar, if not more, money because of enterprise stuff as well. That alone is making £41 billion in revenue a year, which is certainly not a small figure. Presuming I've just typed in the right amount of zeros there.
That is always a question I ask myself. I'm like, is that the right number of zeros? Have I gone 1 0 too many? Because you never know. Can we talk about the Intel CEO? I think we're going to keep this episode to not much longer than an hour, just heads up, purely because I'm tired, Paul's dying. So I'll probably run for about another 15 minutes, maybe slightly longer. Sony's Bravia TVs, just real quick, their interface is actually really good. The Sony interface I really like. The screens themselves I don't think look too bad. I haven't seen one too recently. But I know their interface was definitely touted as being one of the best. So I want to quickly talk about the Intel CEO, because that guy is the epitome of douchebaggery. Can I just read you this statement? And can I hear your opinion on it?
Mm-hmm.
I had sent an email earlier, but I was told that some of you announced to colleagues that you do not want to make a purchase of the game and or a review. Frankly, this leaves me pretty disappointed. Of course, I cannot force you to write a review, let alone tell you what to write, but I should not have to. Neglecting the importance of reviews will ultimately cost jobs. If WB fails, Insult fails, IME fails, and then we will all have no job next year. So I'm asking you either do the follow. That sentence makes no sense. The sentence literally reads, so I'm asking you either of do the following. Buy the game and present me the receipt until Friday night, for which, together with a claim form, you'll be reimbursed within 24 hours, or explain to me tomorrow why you do not wish to do this. I would like to discuss this individually and privately with each of you, and will follow up. What a douchebag!
Yeah, and I think the Steam reaction to it is what it deserves. Just saying, you cannot do this. This is not right. This is against all that this service stands for, kind of thing. And the fact that want to be trolls and downgrade it, or fake reviews of people that have worked closely to the project, worked on the project, or know people. If your OBS crashed.
No. Can you just re-say that sentence? Because my up went down to 0 again. I don't know. I think it's an OBS issue, to be honest, because I'm keeping my connection with you just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want my other computer back. Why?
See you later, Luke.
See you later, Luke. Thanks for joining us in whatever the hell this has been. This has been an interesting one, if nothing else. Next week we'll hopefully be back to our full glory, which is still not that much glory now that I think about it. Oh man, thank you for joining us.
So yeah, it's no big mystery that there are occasionally good false reviews, or good reviews made by people that are either know people that are working on the project, worked on the project, or helped the people out working on the project.
Yeah.
That this is something that's happened a million times before and will happen a million times again. But at the point where you are being passive aggressive to your employees, and sort of backhandedly threatening being fired if you don't review the game in a good light, it's just ridiculous. This CEO, does he actually own the company or just run it?
I have no idea. I can't even get his name right now. Patrick Steeple or Stepple. Let me find out.
Oh, hey, Swadine. Basically, what's wrong with the layout is George is very lazy. So
yeah, can you explain today? Okay, can you not be a douchebag about it, please? I'd highly appreciate it if you want a bit of a douchebag.
Since when am I not a douchebag?
The issue with the layout is that I'm on a different computer, and so we've also been having issues with this stream. But hey, it's the life I lead. Hopefully I definitely come next week. I'll be back on the normal PC. Come Wednesday, I'll be back on that. Come tomorrow, actually. So we'll be back to normal next week. This has just been me trying to throw together a show for this week. So we've been having a couple of issues with the upstream. We've been having a couple of issues with the video. Hopefully it's not too terrible. You'll also notice the lack of a pop filter on my microphone. It's just the life I lead. It's all down the drain. I can't seem to find whether or not he founded the company, but I do know that the reason it was in the show notes is because that original email sent out like 2 weeks ago, but they got dropped by Steam just yesterday. Also, the game kind of looks like, I know I said this about Arena of Valor, but this game also kind of just looks like bloody League of Legends. It's not too far off. In fact, looking at it right now, it looks almost exactly the same as League of Legends.
What's the name of the game again?
It's called Wild Buster. Like, to the untrained eye of myself, I genuinely can't tell the difference between this and League right now, apart from like the art style and the camera.
Yeah,
Like the UI layout is practically identical.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? To be fair, it looks like the gameplay mechanics are different. Like it's not. It looks like it's not a 5v5 that kind of deal. It looks like it's a different kind of game, but visually it does very much resemble. What the hell is going on here? I don't even understand anymore.
Whether it's copying League or not, it looks crap though. Looks like a terrible game.
But Paul, if you don't pay for a game and then give it a good review, you will be fired. Swadine, yes, I'm back in England. I literally landed like 2.5 hours ago in the UK. So I'm not exactly well rested. For the moment we finish this, I'm going to sleep. That is my intention. I literally, when I landed in the UK, I called my sister. Like as I got off the plane, I was like, Kate, I need you to have a coffee ready for me. So she like went to Costa and like I was like, oh hey guys, and then I grabbed the coffee off my sister and was like, cheers, drank the coffee and then came home. Oh man. But yeah, hopefully this layout will be fixed by next episode. For the highlights show, when that happens at the end of this year, I'll put it over this so it'll be like we had it here all along. So it'll be mine and your secret, but it wasn't here all along. Just in case there are any highlights from this episode. Paul, I want to end with because we're going to call this episode short because we've been going for about 45 minutes. So we're going to call it a short one. I'm tired. You're dying. Honestly, I think it's just the best idea to do. We don't want to drag it out pointlessly. How can we not talk about the NRA giving FCC chairman Ajit Pai a literal gun as a reward for killing net neutrality? I'm still not over it. It's still hilarious. Still hilarious. Oh man! So for everyone, I guess listening, I sent the link to this story to Paul earlier today, and accompanied with a message of just ha 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 ha, like going on like 8 times, because the moment I saw the headline, I just burst into laughter, and I haven't stopped since because it is so ridiculous. So the National Rifle Association gave FCC chairman Ajit Pai a handmade Kentucky long gun to thank him for his brave stance in favor of lining the pockets of billion-dollar telcos by repealing net neutrality. This is the man who has been called corrupt by his own organization just this week. Let me find the exact. I just want to point out also that the NRA gave Ajit Pai this courage award and the gun for, quote, saving the internet. That's apparently what he was doing. He saved the internet, everyone. Oh man.
There's not much you can say about this story. You just either have to sit here
just laugh
and laugh, or just be like, "Oh yeah, this." I like your note for it, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was all I could. That's all I felt like as I was reading the headline. Here it is. So 15th of February, 10 days ago, the FCC is under investigation by the regulator's inspector general following a series of decisions that appear to favour one of the country's largest media owners, as Ajit Pai made a big play to cut back rules in an effort to bring back light touch regulations, but lawmakers are suspicious of a number of decisions that directly benefited one media group, Sinclair Broadcasting. Ah man, where do we start here? God damn it. Doesn't everyone love Ajit Pai? Because I know I do.
in our sort of the first Snappy-Tech podcast we
Hmm.
did, there was basically always an Apple story or a Google story, or
Can you
like an
get
Amazon
slightly
or something.
close to the mic, Paul?
There was always an Amazon story or
Yeah,
Google story.
Amazon, Facebook,
Um,
Apple, Google. It was always like at least two of those four.
yeah, but it seems like every other show that I've been on for about since October or something, it seems like every other show there is an high controversy. And
Hmm.
it's just like, can this guy keep himself away from controversy? He should be using his lack of net neutrality to just block all of that website, all of these websites from the internet or something. It's
Can I just read what Dan Schneider, executive director of the American Conservative Union, said whilst announcing this prize?
oh yeah, I've just read that.
He said, and I quote, "As soon as President Trump came into office, President Trump asked Ajit Pai to liberate the internet and give it back to you." Which is almost as bad as the next bit, where he went on to say, "Ajit Pai is the most courageous, heroic person that I know." How do you take this seriously? How does anyone take the internet seriously after this?
Yeah, the internet is doomed.
This also happened, the Register mentioned this. This happened literally a week after the school shooting in the US. Like, is there no sense of irony here?
Yeah, the same week that the NRA in the news a lot because of their stance on keeping guns around, and they just do this. Just it seems like to drag away the fact that they're actually dicks.
Oh, I'm in pure disbelief on all of this. To be completely, I just don't even. To be honest, I just don't know how to respond or feel about this whole thing, because clearly we live in some deranged reality where Donald Trump is president and Ajit Pai is apparently a hero.
Yeah.
Because if we're in a simulation, this isn't one I want to be in, frankly.
Also, we have people that watch us speak about things because apparently we give it some kind of spin on topics that are interesting.
Yeah, I feel like
Most
the
of
idea
it's
of us
fucked up.
giving a spin on topics is too much in itself.
Any intelligent topic, anyway, as well. Let us give a spin on topics like fluffy rainbow dogs.
Fluffy rainbow dogs. Go on, tell me more, Paul. Tell me about these fluffy rainbow dogs.
So these dogs, they're adorable and they're really
Paul.
fluffy and they're multicolored. And maybe a little bit spot on there.
Paul.
But,
Paul. I just Google searched fluffy rainbow dog. Can you do the same? And just look through the pictures that come up. This is terrifying.
We'll actually go on to images.
Yeah, this is terrifying. I am legit. What is this? What is this madness?
So remember when we said I'm dying? This is really going to kill me.
Who does this? Why? Okay, so some of these are toys. That's another real dog. For Christ's sakes.
Oh, there's an adorable little Labrador there.
That's a cat. But this poor dog. This poor thing. Why would you do that? Oh my days. These poor dogs.
There's a fluffy rainbow butt plug.
Yep, I saw that and skipped right over it. But thanks for saying it out loud, Paul. Thanks for ruining any hope of monetization that we had. Here I was, like, really hoping the YouTube algorithm wouldn't pick up on it, but no.
I mean, there is a unicorn further down the page, so that's basically the same thing, right?
Oh, it is ridiculous. It is frankly crazy. And any dog owner who does this to their dogs, deserve to be shot.
They deserve to be spayed or neutered.
Yeah.
I'm
Preferably
gonna
both.
search on Amazon, fluffy
Oh
rainbow
no.
dog, and if there's any cheap enough one, I'm going to buy it for you.
So, fine. Should we end on Android Go, and then we can call it a show? See, I made it rhyme. See what I did there? Are you proud of me? We'll make this quick because there isn't much to talk about. So the first ever Android Go phone was announced today because it's Mobile World Congress. It is the Alcatel One X. It is technically the first Android Oreo Go edition phone. Basically, what Android Go is it's the same as regular Android, but designed specifically for low-end devices to keep it running fast and smooth. So all of the apps are built with low memory in mind. About 1 gigabyte is like the most you'd expect in an Android Go device. The One X, for example, has 1 gigabyte of RAM, a quad-core MediaTek processor, 16 gigabytes of storage, and a 960 by 480 display. Not exactly the quickest of phones. However, it costs roughly €100, so it's not exactly the most expensive of phones either.
See, $100, which is about £60.
This I can see this costing about £100. I reckon it'll be about more. It'll be more or less 100.
And at £100, yes, it's a cheap phone, especially if you compare it to the earlier on. However, at that kind of price, you can go on Amazon, buy one of like Wiley Fox phone or something like that with far better specs, a screen that is more than 480p. Because that resolution number just hurts. Yeah,
you know what? I'm looking at this right now because I was wondering how right you were. Turns out the Wiley Fox Spark X has a 5.5-inch HD display. HD meaning 720p in this case.
Yeah.
3000 milliamp battery, 13 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel selfie camera, whatever. 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes of storage, expandable up to 64. Costs £70 right now. It's 140 usually. It's on discount. You can get it for £70.
Yeah. So
let me show us off
the
to
idea
viewers. Look at this.
Android Go makes sense to me. Having a lighter version of Android that you can install on really cheap devices. However, that Alcatel phone doesn't make sense at that kind of price. I want a full Android experience with better specs than that. At least make that screen better, because that screen sounds horrible for $100 or what would probably end up being £100, as you say. Even if you say £80, £90, that is not good enough.
Maybe and something like the Wiley Fox Swift 2, which is the slightly higher end one, again 16 gigabytes of storage, 2 gigabytes of RAM. However, a slightly larger display, dual SIM 4G, usually £160, is currently £110. So that's not too shabby.
The thing is, I would legitimately consider buying one of these phones to review if I could afford them, because looking at those specs at that price, the specs are very good. And
I had a co-worker who had a Wiley Fox Swift too, actually as their secondary phone.
My girlfriend has a Wiley Fox phone.
Yeah, but I've emailed them and they never replied because I asked them for a review unit and they didn't reply. So screw you, Wiley Fox, but I love you really. Please send me
Frankly,
phones.
It doesn't cost them much to send us a review unit at that
price.
Yeah,
hate to break it to you, Wiley Fox. The phones aren't that expensive.
At that price, it's so good. The specs look so good for the money. I don't know how it will actually perform in person. However, it is very tempting, and the phones do actually look good enough for me to go over to one of them for a few weeks. Especially their higher end ones, and their higher end one, the highest one, I think is only about 220 quid anyway.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting, but I think the idea of Android Go is useful, and I think, you know what, Android Go might
Yeah.
actually be good on Wiley Fox phones as well.
Yeah.
I can see them using that as a good thing. So Android Go as a whole, maybe this isn't the best device to show it off on. It's also about 2 months out. Vlad Savov of The Verge, who wrote the article, said that the first phone was so sluggish that it felt broken. The app drawer stuttered every time. The camera couldn't hold an image. And he says, I quote here, I somehow watched the dialer render from a low to high res after it opened. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, that phone dialer, that was the real thing that was like, wow, how bad. Though he did say once he got another unit, it was a lot better. However, there was still a lot of stuttering, but at that point, it was feeling a lot more reasonable.
So then Google and Alcatel both had a statement prepared saying the phone doesn't ship for another 2 months, and therefore there will be quirks of both the hardware and the software that are being ironed out and should be gone in 2 months' time.
Yeah, I as I say, I do see the point of the Android Go, but it's only if it's put into the right choice of phones at the right price.
Yeah.
This Alcatel one doesn't make sense to me. If you're spending that much money on a phone, how hard is it to get an extra gig of RAM in there? And at that point, Android Go massively necessary, because that's a big limiting factor, I think, at this point. Because even the cheaper mobile processors are at the point where they're powerful enough to do.
Yeah, you look at something like the Honor phones, right? Those, we've made fun of their naming conventions before, but their phones are genuinely amazing value for money.
Very, very much so.
Like if I hop in right now, 1 second.
Some of their flagships come out at flagship prices, yes, but a lot of their phones are very good value for money, and frankly, if you are buying a phone at £100 or £100 to £200, then they're one of the companies that I'd say go for rather than an Alcatel Android Go.
Yeah, the Honor 6A is a very good phone, which is their sort of cheap one. Not as cheap as the Honor 9 Lite, which is... Oh, sorry, the Honor 9 Lite is more expensive, I should say. However, it's currently £70 off, so at £200 is a bargain. Comes with dual front and rear cameras. So 4 cameras overall, which is crazy. It has gender beauty mode, whatever that means. I'm sure some SJW is going to be pissed off at it. 18:9 display, more or less bezel-less on the top and bottom. It's close. It's got a bit of a chin because there's an Honor logo down there, but it's close. It's close-ish. Octa-core processor, 3 GB of RAM. What's really great for Honor and Huawei is that they have their own processors, right? The Kirin processors. So they kind of have that better value for money from that point of view. And if you buy this £200 phone, not only is it £200, but you also get £70 wireless headphones with it. You get they're basically like the Jaybird headphones I use. They're basically like those, where there's like a cable between 2 earbuds and they connect over Bluetooth.
That reminds me, I need to plug these in.
But yeah, that's I think we're gonna call it. Have we hit an hour? We hit just over an hour. That's fine. That is all I wanted from this episode, to be completely honest. I am genuinely. I've been traveling since 9 a.m. Georgian time. Now, for reference, it is currently 2 a.m. Georgian time the next day.
You sure you didn't just go back in time 7 hours?
Oh man, yeah, I'm almost sure. Kind of. Who knows?
I don't know.
But,
You don't really pay much attention sometimes.
yeah, right. It's crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a busy day. I've travelled. Let me tell you exactly how far I went today. Let's find out. Okay, so Google Maps menu, your timeline. Fun fact: if you've never done this before, if you have Google Maps on your phone, go and take a look at your timeline because it is kind of terrifying and kind of cool all at once. So today I travelled 2,000 miles by plane and 80 miles by car. So car/bus. So it was 80 miles or 2.5 hours by car, and then 2,094 miles or 5 hours and 25 minutes by plane. It was not fun, for lack of a better phrase. Also, this doesn't include the drive home for some reason from Luton to... Let me add this. So that's actually wrong. We drove 126 miles over roughly 4 hours. So it was about 9 hours, 9.5 hours of travelling today, more or less. With a massive 3-hour gap in the middle as well, of just sitting around in an airport, trying to not get my PC taken off me. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Wait, quickly. My mum has just went to Lanzarote today. Her flight was it took off at 8:45 a.m. this morning. She was finally at our hotel by I think it was 10 hours later because it was a bit windy in Lanzarote, so they had to stop off in Fuerteventura. They was only meant to be there for half hour, ended up waiting around for ages. Once they did get to Lanzarote, they had to go around a few times before they could actually land. Because I think before they actually left Fuerteventura, they when they finally got the clearance to say, yeah, you can actually come here to land now, they had to wait over an hour for a takeoff slot.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so 10 hours. That not to mention, we left at 6:45 this morning, so it was 12 hours before she was at the hotel with in her hand. For a 4-hour flight, that was.
Traveling is not fun. I'll just put that out there right now. It is a real pain in the arse.
Especially when it goes wrong, like in your story.
When it goes wrong. Yeah, who'd have funked it? So, for those of you who don't know, 3 months ago, to the day, more or less, I think it might be like 1 day off or something, but it's more or less 3 months of a day, I went to Georgia, had 0 problems getting there. Who'd have guessed it? The UK customs, as I was going through, were like, yeah, who the hell would bomb Georgia? Especially from the UK. I was just like, what? Who are you kidding? So they looked at my computer, they knew what computers were, believe it or not. It was all fine, whatever. On my way back today, so I woke up at 9 a.m, as I mentioned. I spent 3 hours getting to the airplane. I then spent 2 hours sitting around waiting for the check-in to open, right? Check-in desk's open. Go up to the check-in desk, put my suitcase on a scale, and they go, hey, that suitcase of yours, it's 4 kilos overweight. And I'm like, I don't think it is. However, I'm also aware of the fact that my handbag is definitely 2 kilos overweight. I just don't want him to check that because the moment he does, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go along with him right now, just so he doesn't check the other bag, right? So he's like, yeah, and I'm like, what do I do here? Like, what's the course of action? He goes, so what you'll have to do is either take out some weight, put it into a different bag, or buy more weight. And I was like, oh, okay, how much does that cost? And he's like, it's 10 euros per kilogram. In my head, I'm like, that is a rip-off. Publicly, out loud, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Because, that's something I'm capable of doing, like pretending to not be outraged. So he gets me to pay 40 euros. Which, just for the record, if it was anyone like from Georgia, that had to pay 40 euros. 40 euros is literally triple the price of the plane ticket. Right?
Yeah.
So...
and it's also about a week's wage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's roughly a week's wage in Georgia, on average. So, you know, whatever I pay the 130 lari, whatever it works out to, pay that, go back. He then puts my bag back on the scale, just to, like, make sure. And the bag is suddenly, like, 2 kilos lighter. I'm just looking at this guy like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe this just happened. But again, I'm saying nothing because I know that my other bag is like 2 kilos over.
Makes up for it.
Right, yeah, that was it, right? So, you know, he you know, puts the finger around it, and he looks at me like, did you take stuff out of this bag? I was like, no, I didn't touch it. I just went, paid, came back. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% certain. Why? And he's like, it's just lost 2 kilos in weight. And I'm just like, oh, fuck you. So whatever. That suitcase goes. I'm like, whatever. He then asked me to put my hand baggage on, which is up to 10 kilos. Put it on, and it's like 12.2 or something. And he just like gives me this look, and it's just like, screw it, just take it, just go, just get out of here. I'll pretend I didn't see that. Just go. I'm like, you know, I thank him, pretending I didn't already pay for those 2 kilograms. Obviously, you know.
Good thing you didn't argue with.
Right. So I walk out with that and then go into security, right? Now, as I mentioned, getting into Georgia was no issue because British Border Patrol looked at my stuff and they were like, oh yeah, cool, some light bulbs and a computer, like whatever. Georgian security, they weren't quite sure what a computer was. So I want the Georgian TAV, the Transport Aviation something, I don't know what TAV stands for. TAV. The TAV, does it actually stand for anything? I don't even think it stands for anything. It might not. So basically what happens is I'm at this airport and they go, yeah, can we and so when I was coming to Georgia, I forgot that I had the PC in that suitcase. So they went through the scanner. They were like, what the hell is in this suitcase? I was like, oh yeah, it's a computer. I completely forgot. My bad. Sorry. Took it out of the suitcase. They rescanned it. They were like, yeah, fine, whatever. Here, however, I go, hey, listen, there's a computer in this, you know, put it into a separate tray and go, you know, it's a PC, apologies, you know, it's massive, whatever. If you want me to explain what's in there, I can, you know. They put that through. I then take out my laptop, put that in a separate tray because, you know, I'm a responsible human being.
Well,
I can be a responsible human being. They then take that through, and then I also put my Nintendo Switch in a separate thing along with the rest of my electricals, right? My phones, stuff like that. My watch, etc. All of that goes through, and I have never seen the security person's face light up in the way that that person's face lit up. They were like, we've got a terrorist on our hands. Like they were excited. They were like, we are kicking this guy off the plane today.
Light up makes it sound like we've got a cavity.
No. Luckily that wasn't on the cards. So basically they then go like, so they open up my suitcase which I took the PC out of, and they go, are these light bulbs? I'm like, oh yeah, these are just, you know, whatever. They're my lighting light bulbs, right? They're for photography. They're just bulbs, whatever. And they go, no, you don't understand. Light bulbs are strictly prohibited on planes. I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, you're not allowed light bulbs on planes. I'm like, I'm not sure that's true. However, as I go to contest this point, I hear out of my side, like, one of the guys is like, I'm not sure we can let this guy keep this computer. I'm like, and you know, so immediately my panic goes off from the £20 light bulbs onto this £1,200 PC. And I'm like, and I just kind of, instead of being like, I'm not sure that's a rule, I go, you know what? Throw away the light bulbs. I don't care. And then turn to the guys talking about my PC and I'm like, so tell me about this PC. And they go, yeah, listen, like our X-rays our X-ray scanners just we can't tell what's going on in there. And I'm like, you can't tell what's going on in any electronics. That's just how they work. Like, I can take it apart if you want. Like, give me a screwdriver, I'll build it again. Like, come on. So I take off the case, right? So luckily it's held in by 4 thumb screws. Oh, the other thing they really enjoyed taking a look at was I have a Wallet Ninja. I think you're aware of what this is. It's like it's basically
the tool thing.
Yeah, it's like a credit card sized tool thing. And every time I go through security, they look at it like, huh, what's that? And then just think nothing of it, right? Because it's the size of a credit card. And when I'm like, oh, because I know it like attracts attention because it looks a bit funny, like through an X-ray. So I'll take it out of my wallet and be like, oh, you mean this? And they'll go, oh, like it's a mini toolkit thing. I'm like, yeah. You see, it has some like hex screws and a bottle opener. And they're like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I should get one for myself. And I'm like, yeah, you should. And I put it back in my wallet. Whatever. These guys were on such a witch hunt. They were like, oh, that's basically a screwdriver. You could use that to make a bomb. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, these guys are really trying to push their luck here.
They obviously just saw you walking through the gate and like, okay, we've got a quota to it. I'm having it.
They clearly had some kind of quota they hadn't met this month. There are only 3 days. It's a short month. They didn't have much time to hit this quota. So, I then explained to them that it's like a tool that I use, that I carry around in my wallet at all times because you never know when you might need a hex key. I don't know. Whatever. So at this point, I'm taking the case, the like metal case off my PC. And as I'm doing this, I hear on the other side of me 2 security people talking to themselves. One of them's like, oh my god, you should look what's in this guy's backpack. He has more in there. And they're like salivating over the amount of electronics I have on me right now. They're in disbelief. So this person starts like opening up my backpack and they're like, oh yeah, it's like there's a bunch of cables here. Because I have like 4 micro USB cables, right? Because I've charged 4 devices at once, believe it or not. So they're looking at those, and then there's my gimbal, right? They're looking at the gimbal like, what is this black stick? Well, is it some kind of beating device? Why does it extend? It basically, they think it's some sort of weapon. No, it's a camera stabilizer.
Wait a second, a black stick? Is it some
yes,
kind of
I know the euphemism. Shut up, Paul. Now isn't the time.
It is.
And I have to take my phone out and put it in and explain to them, no, it's a gimbal. It stabilizes a phone. And they're like, oh my god, that is some sorcery. And I'm like, no, it's just a couple of motors, to be completely honest. But sure, it's sorcery, whatever. As long as you get off my back about it. Put that away. Finally take the lid off this PC, which has taken like a few minutes. And they look at it and they're like, I'm not sure we can let you through with this. I'm like, what do you mean you're not sure? I got here with it with no issue, clearly, because it's here. Right, I have a British passport. You can see the date I entered this country, right? Come on. And they go, yeah, we're gonna have to call in our PC specialist. I'm like, what? You're what? And he's like, yeah, we have this guy. We call him in whenever we're not sure if something's a computer or not. I'm like, and in my head, obviously.
Does that happen a lot?
Apparently so. But in my head, I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. You do not have a I start looking around for cameras. I'm like, am I on a prank show? Is Roman Atwood about to jump out hey, we pranked you? That is what I'm expecting at this point.
Wait, who's the Georgian version of Roman Atwood?
I have no idea.
Can they afford a camera?
Probably not.
Okay, yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, these guys have to be kidding me. This has to be some form of joke. And then their bloody PC specialist turns up and spends 10 minutes evaluating my PC. Alright? He's like...
Was he running benchmarks?
Probably. He was like, it's too powerful to be a PC. It's a bomb. It's a bomb. But yeah, so he is looking at this thing, making sure it's a PC. And whilst doing so, also questioning me as to why I have this PC. Because, at this point, they don't care about the rest of my electronics. They're like, what is this black box? Because that's literally what it is, right? You've seen it, right? It's
it's a tiny little cube.
It's a black cube. And they're like, what is this black cube doing? I'm like, And they're like, so why'd you have this computer? I'm like, oh, I was volunteering at a local TV station. Like, oh, what were you doing? Like, I was producing TV. Like, so why'd you have a computer? I'm like, so I could produce the TV. I was like, can you see a trend developing here? Maybe could you possibly ask different questions? Obviously, I said that in my head because if I'd said that out loud, I'd been shot on the spot.
Could you possibly stop fixating on the thing that is very self-explanatory?
Right. So, after like 10 minutes of being like, I think part of what threw him off was that there are free hard drives in that PC, right? And he's like, why are there free
amount of porn on here?
But it was like, because hard drives, like, to the uninitiated. Do I have one that's like right next to me right now? Hang on, I have a drawer with a hard drive in it. If you imagine one that's like twice this is a laptop hard drive, right? But if you imagine like double the thickness of this, right? It looks like a block of something, right? So I and when you see 3 of them on inside one, I'll admit, not very cable tidied PC, it looked a bit dodgy, and I was like, no, those are hard drives. And I'm like, see, that's a SATA cable, and that's the power. Like, I had to break down what a PC was to these people.
Did you do a PC build guide for them?
I might as well have. Like, I was so tempted. Like, we have a PC.
You should have got your Chromebook out and just brought up Linus Tech Tips.
I should have brought up Snappy-Tech, to be honest, because I did a PC build guide like a year back. I was so tempted. I was like, look, this is me making videos, right?
See, I can make videos. This is what I use the computer for.
Uh-huh. But here's the thing. That's not even... So all of that happens. They finally let me through, right? After convincing them that I wasn't some form of terrorist, which luckily they finally believed after way too much convincing.
Surprisingly.
Right, that was the craziest thing. The fact they believed, like, I was starting to doubt that it was a PC myself.
Did it get to the point you were starting to doubt yourself? Did you legitimately think, wait, am I a terrorist? Is this really a computer?
No, it didn't quite go that far. But there was a point where I was like, is this PC even worth the hassle right now? Like, this PC is probably the most expensive thing in this airport at this moment. Is it even worth it? Like, that was genuinely my thought process.
I would have thought it would get to the point where it's kind of like, okay, I've spent this amount of time on it already. I'm committed now. I need to finish this.
It was a bit of both. But you know what? Well, they let me through, whatever. And I have priority boarding, right? Because it's literally a $5 for priority boarding and an extra bag. Why would I say no to that? Right? So I get through the gate, the plane finally touches down, it arrives late, whatever. I hand my ticket to the... Oh, and by the way, just so you know, it's the guy who weighed my suitcase, is the guy who's also taking my ticket as I go to get on this plane. So I hand him my ticket, and he's like, no, you need priority. I'm like, no, I have priority. You see how I have 2 bags here, which indicates I have priority. I have priority. He's like, no, I would have stuck a thing on your ticket. And I'm like, well, you didn't, but I have priority. He's like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, no, you don't understand, because it's £5, and I would have spent that £5 3 times over just to not deal with you right now. So luckily I'd kept my paper boarding card that I like printed off, and I like show that to him because it has like a breakdown of everything you've bought, and I'm like, see, priority boarding. He's like, oh, my bad, I forgot to put a sticker on your ticket. I'm like, yeah, it is your bad. Get on the plane, no big dramas, travel for 5 hours, land in the UK, pick up my suitcase, walking through, no goods to declare. Massive security guy comes up to me and goes, excuse me, where are you flying from today? I'm like, oh, I've flown in from Georgia. He's like, oh, okay. Do you have any cigarettes on you? And I'm like, yeah, I've got some, because my nan gave me some cigarettes to bring with me to the UK, because they're cheaper over there. I'm like, yeah, I've got some in this suitcase. And he's like, oh, I'm going to need you to come with me. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll come with you. So I go with him, and he goes, listen, so here's the thing. Do you know how many cigarettes you can have with you? I'm like, I don't know, like two packets. I like two, not like carton packets, but like two.
Big...
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, like 2 packets, I believe. He's like, actually, it's 200. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, you see, that's the two number was in my head. I just didn't remember what it was, what it was alluding to. And he's like, yeah, you can have 200 cigarettes. I'm like, oh, okay, but
200 singular cigarettes. Is it?
Yeah, like 200 cigarettes. Right? So in a packet, there's what, 20, I assume.
Yeah.
So you can have like 10 cartons. So one wrap.
Yeah.
One block, I believe they're called. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's clearly the number I meant. I meant 200 as opposed to 2 blocks. And so he goes, yeah, can you show me where these cigarettes are? I'm like, indeed I can, because I'm an intelligent, and I put it right at the top of my suitcase, just in case this occurred. So I open my suitcase, and he goes, yeah, this is actually, you're only allowed 1 block. That's 200 cigarettes is 1 block. And I go, oh, I am so sorry. And he's like, so how long were you in Georgia? I'm like, oh, I was there for the last 3 months. He's like, what were you doing there? And at this point, I'm so fed up of answering this question, but I just went, I was volunteering at a TV station. Like, that's what I was doing. I was helping at a TV station. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. And he like keeps looking through my bag. Now, my suitcase is so densely packed right now that like, as he opened it, it like popped open, like things popped out. Because in my suitcase, as well as all of my clothes, I have the two light stands, this arm, and my backpack, which has all of my camera equipment, right? It is full to the brim. He pulls out my backpack, and he's like, what's in here? I'm like, oh, that's my camera equipment. And he goes, why do you have recording devices? And I'm like, no, it's a camera. It's... the TV station I was volunteering at had a camera with me. He's like, oh, okay. Zips it back up, leaves it there. And he's like, are you okay with putting all the stuff back in here? I was like, yeah, no, it'll be... Like, because, I don't want to be confrontational to the security guy because it will only end badly for me. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. I'll do it myself. Fear not. So as I'm putting the stuff back in my suitcase, he's like, it's not an issue if I check your other bags, right? I'm like, no, go for it, whatever. He opens the bag with a PC in. And at this point, I'm just like, yeah, that's just a computer. It's just a PC. And he looks and goes, oh, okay. And like, the biggest sigh of relief I have ever released. Just went, oh, thank God. Like, he didn't question it. He was just like, oh yeah, cool, it's a computer. And he checked my backpack, and I was like, and I explained to him my switch and my camera thing, and he was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Left, whatever. He gave me a verbal warning for the cigarettes. Didn't take any of them off me. He was like, it would just so you know, for next time it's 200, not 2 blocks. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Apologies for the misunderstanding. Completely my fault. He was like, yeah, I'm going to let you off with a verbal warning this time. And I was like, cheers. You're a great dude. Have a nice evening. And then I walked away. In the hurry to like repack my bag, he'd taken out the box that my clock was in, like the glance clock, and that was just in a cardboard box. And it's just like a cardboard box that's like this size, and it's pretty dense. And he was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, that's just a clock. And he's like, oh, okay. He wasn't entirely convinced. So, and I was like, yeah, that's just a clock. And in my rush to put everything back in my bag, I hadn't actually put the clock back in my bag. So I had like my suitcase, my backpack, my 2 suitcases, and I was kind of lugging this clock along. So as I walk out and see my parents who are like, oh my God, it's George, I hand them the clock. I'm like, just take this off me right now. Go around, say hi, whatever. Get back to England, minus 2 light bulbs, almost minus a PC, and almost minus a pack of cigarettes.
So then your parents say, so George, what do you have in your case there? Can we search it? What?
Oh, you know what?
What is this device?
They called me just after I'd paid for 40 euros for the weight allowance thing, and I just was not in the mood to talk to them. So they were like terrified that I'd like kill, like they were just like, oh hey George, that's a really nice clock you've asked me to hold. Why is it not in your suitcase? You know what? That doesn't matter. The clock can be wherever it wants to be. Like, they were just too afraid to ask questions at that point. Oh man.
Anyway, I do need to get off.
Yes, we're gonna call. We've ended up prolonging this to an hour and a half, which makes it a decently length show. Look at us go. So, Paul, if people want to check you out, where is the best place to do so?
If you wish to find more of my lovely face, when I say lovely, horrible, you should go to snpy.tech/Paul. It has a link to my Twitter on there, and on my Twitter there is a link to my Twitch. So follow me on both of them. I do stream 2 or 3 times a week, but on my Twitter's wherever I say on there whenever I'm going to stream.
Awesome, go check that out. Paul has actually been picking up streaming lately. He's been doing it more and more often. We did a stream together, so if you go to twitch.tv/Snappy-Tech, you can see when we played Left 4 Dead 2 together, which was fun. That was a genuinely good time. And then, yeah, so go check that out. If you enjoy this podcast, go to snpy.tech/podcast for the audio version. Go to /Patreon to support us on Patreon, or if you want to donate, go to /Coffee. We have lots of good things. We have lots of fun tiers on the Patreon, so go do that. Highly suggest that you get lots of exclusive behind the scenes looks and stuff like that. Go do that. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live every Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT as of now, because I'm back in the UK. Look at me go. Aren't I amazing? I'm not. It's a lie.
It's very lucky that he's... It was a bit touch and go there.
It was a bit touch and go. I don't know how we've managed to do practically a full show, but we have. So
tonight's episode comes from a prison in Georgia.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if I'd had to like cancel this show because like I hadn't got on the plane or something. Like I had a contingency plan of like I genuinely had the the British Embassy phone number on speed dial ready just in case, because there's a British Embassy in Georgia, of course. So I had the number like ready to call in case something went wrong. Luckily, it didn't. So all is well. Paul, thank you for joining us. We will see you all next week when hopefully I'll be more high energy. Paul will be more alive, kinda, if he's here. Who knows?
If I'm alive.
We will probably have Greg Morris on next week, which will be great, because I miss Greg. Haven't heard from him in a while. He has a HomePod now.
Hashtag blame Greg.
Hashtag blame Greg at GR36. Go do that, because it's always Greg's fault. And I will see you next week. Bye.